Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Always Online Multiplayer Gaming Podcast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things multiplayer related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka magicman, and this is episode 476. We're doing the show live like we always do, twitch.tv/MMOBomb. We usually do it Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern. Today it's Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern, because I'll be traveling. But if you want to join us live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb. Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern, then we stream after that. Troy streams on Wednesdays whenever he feels like it, I guess. He hasn't streamed like the last 3 weeks. But definitely Fridays, come and catch us out. If you're watching on YouTube, on MMOBomb.com proper, or listening to us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Give it a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, turn on notifications, all that stuff to feed the algorithm. We got a great question of the week answer, so we expect all of your comments on MMOBomb.com or YouTube for that and the weekly bombs. Joining me to go over all the... oh my God, we were so focused on... we were so focused on Wilfredo's...
slide me over.
mic issues, man, that I did not... I did not fix the camera. All right, Troy, while I realign you briefly, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Praise hell and praise Dell. I'm here to talk video games, baby. Look at me slide around on the screen. I'm so awesome that I get my own special effects.
We were having mic issues with our other host here, Mr. Wilfredo Rivera. What's up, sir? I forgot to check Troy's camera.
I'm so sorry about all of that.
No, you're good now. How are you, my friend? It's been a while. You've been busy. And I was like, hey, if I move the cast from Friday to Thursday, can you get your ass on the damn thing? It's been like 2 months.
Yeah. I'm able to today, because this weekend I'm moving, so I'm very busy.
You're moving? New
Yes.
New place?
Yes, new place.
Nice. What caused this? You like take a new job, or just time to get a bigger place, or
Time to move out. It's just time to get out there. My fiance and I just got a place. We're happy for it. Let's go do the thing. But it's the packing. It's always the packing.
Oh yeah, that stuff's a nightmare. Yeah. Speaking of nightmare,
when you're a collector, it's even worse.
Oh yeah, packing up all the freaking toys.
Look at your wall.
Yeah.
Your shelf.
Oh, I know.
It's like half a day's packing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you don't need to tell me, brother. I've had to do it twice in my life so far, and that's not counting moving out of mom's. We'll just fix
my
these.
wife, if we ever get another house, we're just buying all new shit.
just leave it all.
just leave it everything.
She's like, honey, you have all this collector stuff. I don't need it. I would rather not put it in a box. Just leave it. Just leave it. All right, we'll have one more slide to fix it a little bit. Wilfredo's tried to move away from the cricket. Now there's a long-time viewer.
Yeah. Larry's not coming over.
Larry's not coming. That's a shame. You should find him.
If Larry shows up,
oh my God, that'd be tremendous.
I will lose it. I will burn my place to the ground.
That would be tremendous. What are you talking
Don't
about?
Bring that juju on me. Come on.
Don't you give me that juju, Ricky Bobby. All right, let's slide over and get started with some news. It's been a week. It's been a week, ladies and gents. There's some bigger MMO news. We're going to go over that first. We obviously had the Elder Scrolls Necrom chapter launch this week for PC. You still got about whatever it is, 6 days, 8 days, something like that for console players to be able to grab it. So we're going to talk about that, give you some of our initial thoughts. Obviously, we've only had a couple of days to kind of dabble with the new Arcanist, and then I know, Troy, you were super excited to get back into Morrowind zones and Morrowind storylines, so we'll see how that all pans out. And then we're going to talk about Star Wars The Old Republic. So initially, I should say, Troy, you were not scheduled for this show.
No, not initially.
And then when the week kind of unfolded, it was going to be Q and Wilfredo. I sent Q a note. I was like, hey, don't take any offense, but there's major Elder Scrolls news and now major SWTOR news. I got to see if Troy can do the show. Like, Troy's going to have massive opinions on both of those. Wilfredo will as well. Like, I'm going to say, luckily you were able to do it. So let's start with the Elder Scrolls, and then we'll kind of wrap up with some weird news and some fun oddball pieces of like rapid fire type news later. But let's start with the Elder Scrolls Necrom chapter, released on PC. Digital upgrades, I think, was like $39.99, and then some digital collector sets that run a little bit more than that. We had checked it out a little bit in beta, so we weren't, at least I was. I think, Troy, you had played in the beta for this a little bit, right? Just to kind of mess with the Arcanist?
No, actually, I had not.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't going into this like totally cold, but I didn't have a ton of time with it. So Troy, initial thoughts. What do you think in Elder Scrolls Necrom? Is the zone and the storyline, at least what you may have done so far, exactly what you as a Morrowind fan were looking for, and heading back to some of these areas, seeing some familiar faces, maybe some surprise faces, depending on how far you are in the storyline, and then we'll talk about Arcanist separately.
So far, the zone itself is pretty impressive. It's got that Morrowind feel to it, but it doesn't look exactly like the other Morrowind zones do. It's a little different, a little more alien. A lot of new stuff going on in it, a lot of aesthetics that are really pleasing. The story so far has been pretty good. I haven't made it to Apocrypha yet because I've been splitting time between ESO and Diablo 4, obviously. So far the story has been pretty good. The side missions and stuff, as usual, the voice acting is really good, and the side missions, they give you reason and sort of agency to go do those with that voice acting, which I think ESO has always done well. Arcanist, I finally made one last night.
Yeah,
so
that's the biggie. Like, first new class since the Necromancer back in what was it, 2019, I think.
Yeah, 19, I think. And so far, dabbling with it. I don't know that I'm going to switch mains so far, but I'm still very early because I just made it last night.
Right.
I'm still very early with the Arcanist. I have seen some rumblings in chat that it may be a little underpowered. They may have nerfed it a little much going into the live launch from where it was in beta. I know in beta there were a lot of good impressions of the Arcanist, but the in-game chat has rumblings of being a little unimpressed with Arcanist, and that was the night one rumblings. So they may have just been newer players or players who don't understand the class just yet. So it's way too early to judge on that.
Wilfredo, have you had a chance to dive into it yet? I know you're an Elder Scrolls dabbler, so like you had said previously, like you were really looking forward to Necrom, but it may not be a day one pickup for you simply because you might not be dabbling in Elder Scrolls at that exact moment.
Yeah, no, I've been really looking forward to this, actually. It's the one thing I told my fiance and a bunch of my friends after we all started playing Diablo. Yeah, come like the 28th, I'm not going to be on for a while. Just because anytime there's a new class, I usually want to check it out. I want to have some kind of experience with it. Knowing that they're nerfing it a little bit kind of makes sense. They'll balance it out probably before the full release of Necrom. But I'm looking forward to it because it's a new class. I always like when they drop a new class. So,
well, I mean, technically it is fully released on the PC, right?
On the PC.
Yeah, we got to wait for the console release now.
But that's the thing, though. Like, even with the full release, this is still that time where they can figure out what those balances and those issues are going to be. And it's good so that when the console release hits, everybody's kind of like on par.
Yeah.
So I've got to wait a little bit just so I can, get the moving and everything done. And then I'm going to dive like headfirst into it.
Yeah, I mean, I am enjoying it. Arcanist, it feels a lot like a better Necro. Like, and I'm a Necro main, and I feel like that's
saying something because you've made Necro.
Yeah, I do. Like, and I don't know if I'll switch to main Arcanist yet. That still has yet to be seen because I got to do the whole leveling and the skills and all that fun stuff and mess with things. And yeah, they're going to be in that tweaking phase for a little bit. This does not pertain to me, but I all that much when it comes to Elder Scrolls Online. But I feel like the Arcanist is absolute trash in PvP right now. Like, And maybe that's just me. I will readily admit that I'm not all that great at PvP, but I tend to do a little better in ESO's PvP than I do in other games just because I've done it more. I don't feel like the Arcanist is doing really well there right now. Maybe that's one of those balancing things you were talking about, Troy, where they just didn't want it dominating everything from day one. They'd rather err on the side of weakness and make it stronger than strength and disappoint people by making it weaker. This is another one. Like I'm going to bring up things that just like don't apply to me, but I've noticed. I don't know how you could possibly play this class in first person if you're one of those maniacs that plays Elder Scrolls Online in first person.
Those are the same people who do weird stuff with their food, like put ranch dressing on everything.
I don't know if you guys have tried it. The crux things, they're just like, they're annoying in first person.
I'm worried about that. I'm not gonna lie. That was one of the things I was like, this looks like it's going to be a tough mechanic to get used to.
Yeah, I think they're great. I know a lot of people are complaining, and we're in beta too, so this really isn't new. But that it was a little too flashy. The skills and abilities from the Arcanist were a bit too flashy, and it was maybe over effects a little bit. I kind of like that, but I could definitely understand that that's like a personal flavor thing, Troy. And some people are like, I'd really like to play Arcanist, but I have epilepsy. Like, it's just like I can't play that. It's just doing too much flashing. But as
it had been a while since I had made a new character in ESO because all my characters, even the low level ones, I've just had for a while because I just like made one of each class, and I had forgotten that the game starts you out in first person.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what a horrible way to start out.
Yeah.
Your MMO in first, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. I mean, I get it. The whole Elder Scrolls. I'm totally fine with it, but it's like one of those things. It's like it bothers me, and I know Josh Strife Hayes talks a lot about this when he does different videos. When things start with subtitles off by default, like. No, put the subtitles on by default and then let me shut them off. Or give me a main menu before we even start. Like I've seen a lot of games do that, right? Where the window pops up and it says pick your language settings now before you even click start type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely think third person versus first person in Elder Scrolls should be one that's reverted by default the other way. In third person and then go first person. I do think the areas are gorgeous so far, but I've always kind of liked Elder Scrolls. It's not the prettiest of MMOs out there, and that's a product of its age more than anything. But I've always liked just like the creativity of the spaces. The voice acting is where you're right, Troy. It just absolutely shines when you have everybody freaking voice acted. Like little Timmy, who wants you to help him bury his dog, is fully voice acted, and that's a huge plus. I'm digging it so far. I'm not too far in, but I'm going to give it a thumbs up for now. I still want to play with the Arcanist a little bit. It feels like they learned an awful lot from the Necromancer. And like he even plays with the dead a little bit, kind of necromancy ways. So I could see myself maybe potentially coming off of Arcanists. I will say that some of the skill lines are a little weird at first, but I feel like the class is at least initially better managed than just like, hey, there's a Stam build and a Magicka build, right? Like it feels like there's a bit more resource and play in the class, if that makes sense, Troy.
Well, I'm sorry. What was the question?
I said it feels some of the skills and the skill lines feel like there's a little more resource and play rather than just like, here's your Stam build, here's your Magicka build. Boom, boom.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what they were wanting the Arcanist to be unique and make it feel a little different than everything. And it kind of feels like, again, I'm still very early on it, but I've seen a lot of feedback on it. It feels like a complete class within its own skill lines, where the rest of the classes you really have to incorporate weapons and at least some weapon abilities to make a class feel complete. in a rotation in the way that you play.
Is Arcanist the new main for you, Wilfredo? Or are we not ready there, or is it just like something you're going to dabble in?
I'm gonna dabble, kind of like how I did when I got my Necro. I dabbled. I'm a Templar main for the most part, so I'm looking forward to it though. I want them to balance that out a little bit more because I don't want to go in completely nerf and obviously I play primarily PvE, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But once I get up to level and I start doing Cyrodiil and stuff like that, I want to be able to hold my own.
Right.
So let's get there first, and then we'll see what happens.
I will say this: I'm really, and this is like early, right? It's been out for 2 days, so we will definitely revisit this one. All three of us seem to have positive early impressions of it. We'll say that much. We'll see if that holds. But I can't wait for that solo duo dungeon at the end of the year. I'm like chomping at the bit for them. I'm like, it's June.
You just got new stuff, Mike.
Right, I know. That's always the way.
Stuff now too.
That's always the way. In other big MMORPG news this week, BioWare looks to be getting ready to hand off Star Wars: The Old Republic to a different developer. Now, the publisher is still going to be EA, so that's not changing. The money behind the project is still EA. But according to reports on IGN, which weren't confirmed by EA, but they did kind of reply in a way that basically confirmed it. They replied to IGN's reporting, and they were like, yeah. So EA had this to say: after 12 years, almost 12 years after launch, Star Wars: The Old Republic remains a success and continues to grow its dedicated and passionate community. We're so proud of the work the team has done, and the future of the game and the community continues to be very bright. We're evaluating how we give the game and team the best opportunity to grow and evolve, which includes conversations with Broadsword, the company that is IGN reported would be taking over development, a boutique studio that specializes in delivering online community-driven experiences. Our goal is to do what is best for the game and its players. So EA seemed to be confirming that, yes, we are having these discussions. Yes, they are with Broadsword. IGN was reporting that a letter of intent was already signed on this. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but means that all parties are interested in making it happen if it can. And EA not really confirming, hey, this is definitely going to happen. But yeah, we're in talks and we're constantly taking a look at this. Now, on the BioWare side of things, there's going to be a portion of that team that moves over to Broadsword with the game. And then there's going to be a portion of that team that might be absorbed into BioWare or other EA things. And the general consensus is that this move is so that BioWare can shift back to what you've historically thought it was generally pretty good at: single-player, story-driven games, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, that type of thing. And I feel like, gang, there's a few different ways we got to take a look at this to see if this is ultimately a good thing or a bad thing from multiple angles. So let's start with the easy one, Troy. Is this a good thing for single-player, story-driven BioWare fans looking forward to Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and other properties like that? And let's set aside the fact, by the way, that Dragon Age has had the shakiest of development over the last year and a half anyway, with a lot of leadership changes. So who knows how good Dragon Age will actually be, but do you like it as a single-player BioWare RPG fan, this shift back to those types of games being the focus?
I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference towards the single player games. They already obviously had development teams in place with Andromeda. I think they're in a similar place with Blizzard right now, where some of the magic has worn off and they're just not producing.
Oh God, they're the ones that did that. Content. They BioWare Magic, remember?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I don't know that it's really going to make that big of a difference towards that. I mean, you're looking at what it said, 70, 80 people on the staff. Half of that's going to probably switch over to Broadsword. Another half will be absorbed within the company. And then there's bound to be some layoffs along the way as well. So probably not even half make it back into BioWare itself. So at the end of the day, does it make that big a difference on the single player games? I don't think so.
you're picking up like a dozen resources in your book. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
we got another 10, 12 people to work on this when it's all mathed out.
Yeah, probably so.
Wilfredo, do you tend to agree? Or, because even though you might have X people, 50 people working on Star Wars The Old Republic, whether you take 10 of them and put them into the single player teams or you take all 50 of them, it's still a net gain. And the rest of the company is never really having to worry about the performance of Star Wars The Old Republic anymore. Like, we can focus on, we need Dragon Age to be a good game. Let's make it a good game because we're not getting income from SWTOR or anything like that. I mean, they may still get some type of residual or whatever. I don't know the particulars of any deal, but you aren't the primary beneficiary anymore. Maybe that is good for the single-player games.
I tend to agree with Troy on this one. Like, I get the idea. Like, it's not going to really make too much of a splash if you're getting in this very small, like they said, a boutique studio like Broadsword to come in, and they're going to start to take over, the development side of things. Cool. But that doesn't explain Anthem. Like, that doesn't explain Dragon Age. Those were separate games in a separate, almost in a separate space of its own. Their focus was, like, Anthem was the focus of, like, multiplayer games again, great, but they failed. Dragon Age has not been all that great since Dragon Age 2. So, like, the Mass Effect series was on a decline. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I really don't. If you really want to put the focus back on single-player story-driven games, you need to let BioWare do what BioWare does without hanging such a massive albatross over its head.
Yeah, and it isn't really the BioWare of old anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it hasn't been for a while, but like you look at the heads, the names in charge, the leads of certain teams, like almost none of those people are there anymore. Some still, but Dragon Age in particular has just had like lead this person left, lead this person left, lead this person left over the last year, 18 months or so. So yeah, I tend to agree. I think it could be good for the single-player RPGs because now the entire business, it wasn't working on SWTOR, but now the entire business doesn't even have to have SWTOR in their head at all. And with that comes a little more pressure too, right? Hey, we don't have that income stream. This game's got to be good, right? We got to sell 1 million copies, 2 million copies, 3 million copies. Whether that pressure pans into, hey, let's make it good, or slap a bajillion monetization systems on it, we'll see. We'll see which way they go. But I think it's a slight positive for the single-player games. Where I'm really worried, gents, is for SWTOR. SWTOR has been on a track lately where the expansions have not been great, the quote-unquote expansions. The last one, they really pumped up, and what, Troy, it took you like 2 hours? Like,
I
legitimately.
don't even think it took that long. Yeah.
And now nothing against Broadsword at all. I mean, they do what they do, but here's what they do. At least currently, they run Ultima Online, and they run Dark Age of Camelot. Go look at those web pages. All of 2023 on both pages, besides, maybe a little tweak here or there to skill gains or points, like the oddball tweak fixes, they have had the rehashing of their annual events for different holidays. If you look at the webpage for either Dark Age of Camelot or Ultima Online, that's what goes on in those games right now. So while Broadsword may be very good at what they do, I don't know any of them personally, and I'm not going to disparage them. This is a great pickup for them, right? When you look at what they do, I don't know if SWTOR fans want their MMORPG moving into that controlled domain where all year so far in 2023, and I stopped in January of looking through both games, it was literally like, hey, tanks can't do this thing anymore was the patch. And events, the recycling of the annual events. So
And
maintenance
that
mode,
still was,
Troy?
And that's the problem with SWTOR too. Right now, it's just recycled events over and over and over, and the content itself is already in such a slow drip feed. It comes out slow. It's very small when it comes out. The new story content, and it's kind of already in that position. And I'm concerned that it's just going to come to a complete stop once it switches over to Broadsword. And what they're going to do is just do what they do with Ultima and Dark Age of Camelot, is just keep it alive, keep it on life support, and keep it going. And that's got to be the biggest concern going forward right now, is what does the future of SWTOR look like? I think it looks like a lot like it does like today, right now, with recycled events in the game just existing.
See, I see on Reddit and on other MMORPG forums and stuff like this kind of thought of, oh, cool, maybe, Wilfredo, this new company will do something with it because players feel like BioWare is kind of backseated Star Wars and oversold expansions to drop a few hours worth of content and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of disappointment, particularly in the last year, as Troy's very eloquently expressing, in SWTOR fans kind of looking at BioWare and saying, come on, you know, you're making money. This is still a profitable MMO. Give us something. Give us something. And looking and saying maybe a new developer is exactly what this game needs. And I don't know how many of them have then taken a look at that new developer and said, what do they develop?
That was me. That was me when I was reading the article.
What do they actually develop?
I literally looked at it. I was like, wait, I've never heard of Broadsword. Who are they? What's their resume? What's their track record? Ultima Online and Dark Ages? Like, really? Like, don't get me wrong. I've played both. They're really great games. But if that's what you've got as your big track record, that does raise a lot of red flags for me, because there are a lot of things that BioWare brought to the table from the start all the way up to the most recent and disappointing patches, that you know that there was a craft behind it, and slowly it started to peter out. Now, if we're getting that with Broadsword, where it's just maintaining servers just to keep the game alive, I can't really see myself going back to the game anytime soon. I still got 3 game cards I haven't used. Like, this is kind of feeling like I may have invested too soon.
You could run the last 2 expansions 148 times with those cards. So let's sum this up in one question, and maybe you might hear this question later. Troy, ultimately, as a SWTOR fan, is this a good thing for SWTOR, a bad thing for SWTOR, or are you kind of in the middle right now in a super nervous for SWTOR position?
I'm super nervous for SWTOR. I was already concerned about the state that the game was in with BioWare, and now moving to a developer who seems to just kind of let games exist and continue existing, which is good. At least you know, going forward, doesn't look like it's going to shut down anytime soon. But as far as real new content, I don't know that that's really going to be a bright future ahead.
Wilfredo, same bucket, or are you ready to just say it's dead?
My knees are knocking. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
I honestly think it's dead, gang. I'd like to be nervous. I don't have a dog in this race. You know, I dabble in SWTOR at best at this point, maybe once a year. So to me personally, I want a Star Wars MMO out there. And right, there's still that rumor, right, that ZeniMax, isn't it, that is working on a Mandalorian IP MMO. So there's still that rumor out there, which, you know, maybe this does seem to be following the Star Wars Galaxies timeline a bit here.
Very true.
So maybe there's that. But
how ironic would that be that SWTOR dies so another Star Wars MMO can live?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just gotta. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love Broadsword to come in, develop new content for it, and do some cool things with it, and make SWTOR fans happy, and hell, maybe even reclaim Star Wars fans like myself that have lapsed. from the game and just gone to play other things. I would love that. I just don't see the track record with Broadsword. I see that they're a business that takes older games and keeps them alive and does the little bit of tweaks here and there that, balance things out. And that's just what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe this is a gateway for them to do something different, in which case, great, thumbs up, let's see it. But based on what they do now, I got to say that this probably isn't good if you're a SWTOR fan hoping for more things. But I'd love to be proven wrong on this one. I'd love to be proven wrong. But I don't think I will be. Sorry, Troy.
Hello.
You better start practicing in Elder Scrolls Online. Let's talk about some serious game changers. And by that, I mean serious changes to their own games, not anything that's going to shake up the entire MMO industry or anything. But they are seriously making changes in... I can't with this first one. Oh, my God. We teased this last week in the show, Troy, because we were still parsing out exactly what the hell was going on with some emails back and forth to the company. So we did kind of tease this one last week. But in full now, Life is Feudal is back. You may remember that MMO shutting down in January of 2021, over a year since it had gone free to play. And the reason for the closure at the time was weird. This is from their post at the time. This came out in December 2020 to announce a January 2021 closing. A couple of days ago, we received an official letter from a certain company that basically says that they will stop paying us our share from Life is Feudal MMO. There's nothing much else we can do in a legal way, since we do not have the required funds to pay for the costly legislation in the US, especially in a situation where our own hard-earned money will be most probably used against us. After refusing a recent deal from that company in 2018, things went south, putting the developer under great business, legal, and financial pressure. The game then shut down in January of 2021. But if you are a big-time baller in Life is Feudal, Wilfredo, you, my friend, can hop back in. Life is Feudal is back if you want to hop into that fun. Oh, I should tell you, Longtail Games is kind of like the partner here. Like, I don't know if they're officially publishers or how the new deal goes, but they're the new publisher, for lack of a better word. And we did reach out to them because right now the entire game is available. All the content is available, but they're kind of calling it a testing phase right now. And maybe that's like they want to make sure that they can get it up and running and have it running and be consistent and stable and all that. That's fine. No idea how long that testing phase is going to be, but it's not really a beta test kind of testing phase. Yeah, $20 a month.
So let me just get this straight. A game that I didn't care about before.
Yeah, it's back.
That died, came back in a test, and they want me to pay a Netflix subscription for it?
Well, so we were a little confused, and I'm going to... I know Troy's probably laughing because I see Troy was on the CC of the emails. And one of them I was not... I tend to be pretty blunt.
Yeah.
When it comes to game development companies and stuff like that, because I'm short on time, they're short on time. Let's get this out there. And so I said, hey, thanks for the information, but can you provide us a little clarity? What exactly is available in game right now? Is it the full game, or is this limited content playtest? And are the comments talking about the $20 subscription to access the playtest accurate? That seems a bit insane price-wise. What was the team's rationale for requiring one of the highest subscriptions of just about any live service game out there? This was my very first email with this person. They sent me general info. That was my reply.
Great reply. Because I mean, come on, dude. Like the game failed.
What do you
the
want me to
first time
say?
for litany of reasons. Come on now.
$20. That's that's World of Warcraft and Netflix, right? Depending on what Netflix package you have.
Exactly. Like no, not for $20. Not for a game that died and then came back in a test.
Yeah, and then the way they replied, Troy, was even weirder, right? And I'm not going to read you their whole email. I won't do that to them. But because we quoted this in the piece, I will read this portion. Regarding the price, the $20 subscription guarantees players full access to all game content without any paid boosters or in-game purchases. With this, players can get the most enjoyment out of the game. All right, so PR speak for, we're asking for $20 a month because we're never going to cash shop you. Okay? That's basically what that is. But then the way it said was like, that's full access. We were like, okay, wait. So is there a box fee and a sub in that $20 and then it's cheaper after that? And so I said, to clarify, you say that the $20 is the game and the sub. Is that $20 a month or just $20 for the playtest as a whole? And how long is that playtest going to be? And is this subscription paid monthly? And they said the $20 price is a 1-month subscription. If the servers were ever shut down or the tests were paused for any reason, then the subscription would also be frozen at that time. And they don't know exactly how long the playtest will last, but they'll announce that when they get there. And yes, the full version of the game won't have any plans to have any cash shops, which, you know, I would throw that around as PR, Troy, right? No cash shop, no cash shop. But you have a $20 fee monthly for an MMO that shut down 2 years ago because it was having financial issues. Now, granted, those financial issues seem to be very like extreme case scenario. They're not like, hey, we weren't making any money. No, the company that was getting the money refused to pay you. That's a weird situation. But I wouldn't even contemplate giving them $20 for 1 month to check it out, I don't think. And I work in this industry.
Yeah, $20 a month is a lot. Even some of the biggest MMOs out there don't charge $20 a month. I'm a little surprised, probably at this point, that Blizzard hasn't bumped their subscription up to $20 a month. But you remember a day? Because there was a day when you paid a subscription, and that just meant no cash shop, no pay to win, no matter what the subscription fee
Magic
was.
Slinky said the exact same thing you did at the exact same time in chat. I wish the subscription model meant what it used to mean back in the day.
Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, that used to mean all of that, no matter what, whether it was $9.99 a month or $14.99 a month, whatever it was. That's what that used to mean. And those days are long gone, ladies and gentlemen. So now not to get a cash shop, it's going to be $20 a month.
$20 a month. Like they didn't even respond to. That seems a bit insane. They like totally ignored.
Left that alone. Yeah, what? Because I would like to hear that. What makes them justify?
Yeah.
Other than no cash,
you can charge whatever you want for a subscription. It's the market that's going to determine whether the value's there.
You know they're going to say inflation.
Inflation.
Devs got to eat.
Devs do got to eat.
So,
I'm sick of devs that need to eat.
$5 on that gets some.
Well, they're going to have to find another game to develop if they want to eat.
Apparently, unless they want to eat nothing but cup ramen for the rest of their lives.
Like, I just can't imagine this working out, and I don't want to see it. People not eat or shit like that. Please don't get that wrong. But this is the wrong game. Whoops.
He early accessed it the day after.
The free-to-play version is still listed on Steam, by the way.
They said something about variants too.
Yeah, you can't access it. It's no longer available, but the Steam store page is still there. It was the first search result, was not the one that's $20 a month. The first search result is your old shutdown one. I mean, that makes sense, right? Like SEO wise, I get it, but still.
But still.
Hey, the last 17 reviews are skewing very positive. Oh, but it. Oh, look at that! It carried its in the Steam ID database. Must be the same thing because it carried its all-time reviews of mixed. There's 8,530 reviews still there.
Something seems shady there. I don't know what it is though.
No, I mean, it just unfortunately, Steam was like, you're the same game. Nice try. You ain't escaping your mixed rating. Here, have it back. Here, have it back. Excuse me. Microsoft considering pulling Activision out of the UK entirely, Wilfredo, to kind of get around the UK denying the Microsoft Activision buyout. And again, that's still going to be appealed, and there's other stuff that they can go. This isn't the route that they have to go, but companies... that should say president, not resident. Companies resident... Brad Smith saying that, yeah, hey, one of the options that we are considering is just pulling Activision out of the UK entirely. And then we would obviously sell Activision games through some distribution company. Probably not ideal, but I guess would work, Wilfredo. It's been done before.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You know, this is Microsoft. They make billions of dollars a year. They probably had this as a last-ditch contingency. They figured if we can't get the win, we'll just find another way around it.
They're just blustering. They're just talking big right now. Going into the appeals and stuff, trying to scare everybody. Oh, big bad Activision, we're just gonna pull out of the
take away their jobs.
Yeah, right. Give up a market like the UK. I believe.
Well, they wouldn't be giving up the market, right? They would just have to end up losing a little bit of the profit because they'd have to work through a distributor. The other option is, you know, they aren't authorized to operate in the UK if they completed the merger everywhere else, and the UK denied them. So, I mean, it doesn't sound like a threat to me, because that would have to be, if you want to sell products in the UK, you won't let us be one company here. Fine, we're leaving the UK and we'll sell you our products through a distributor. Yeah, it's going to eat into our profits a little bit, but UK residents can still buy the products. Like, it seems ass backwards, but I guess you could view it as a threat on the, hey, there will be no Activision jobs in the UK anymore, Wilfredo. Maybe that's we'll move all the jobs because you're forcing us to.
You know, and that sucks. You know, nobody wants to see another person lose their job unless, you know, you've earned it. But this is one of those things, like, I kind of stand with the CMA. Like, there is a monopoly growing within Microsoft itself. They've got so many studios under their belt, and Blizzard Activision is a huge acquisition. They just got Bethesda. They're going for Blizzard Activision. That's big. But this is also Microsoft. I'm pretty certain they're willing to make that sacrifice of, we'll just sell it through a distributor because it'll save us a headache.
It's certainly an option. It has been done before. I mean, not to this scale, to your point, Wilfredo, but other companies have been denied operations under mergers, and so they pull the business out and sell through distribution, stuff like that. Yeah, it is really weird. And like the UK CMA is like under all kinds of fire from its own government, because they're like, wait a minute, the EU approved this. You're denying it based on cloud gaming. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, so there is some back and forth even within the UK between the CMA and its own other governmental bodies. We'll see how it shakes out. I just noticed that Lord Locke has been going off in chat on the
picked up on that?
on the Life is Feudal thing, because I was talking, so I couldn't reach out. And I just caught up on some of this. Stop talking about fake MMO news, Magic Dude 420. Life is Feudal MMO is one of the greatest games ever made, and even got rid of my acne and depression and stuff. How dare Wilfredo bad-mouthing Life is Feudal MMO is right on the edge of acceptability. I may have to report you to Tencent for bashing them. Just don't get your soy latte from Starbucks a couple times a month. Problem solved.
Yeah, he's been rolling for a minute now. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, he's saying finally. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I was like doing a show. My bad. When the gameplay is as good as it is in Life is Feudal MMO, why is $20 a month that big a deal? Plus, if you get in now, you can get free early access to the day after. Just because the game runs some blockchain NFT tech in the background and is stealing your information while you play it doesn't mean the game isn't worth $20 a month. Well, I don't think they're on that front, but
Not yet.
man, Lord
Yeah, not yet.
not yet. So, hey, speaking of that whole Troy, we charge a sub so that we never have to put in a cash shop. Embers Adrift, made by Stormhaven Studios, literally said exactly that in February of this year, right?
Yep.
They dropped their box price and they dropped their sub price, and in their exact words, it was to avoid other forms of monetization. They didn't want to deal with a cash shop. They don't want to do that. They don't want to be incentivized to develop because of a cash shop and, you know, create the problems that the cash shop will then solve for you, right? Inventory, bag space, and grindy experience and stuff like that. That we see all of them. Apparently, maybe still not working to the extent that it needs to for this game because they're making a payment model change. What's up, Troy?
Yeah, they're switching to a buy-to-play model with no subscription now. Another sub change, another monetization change within just a few months of dropping the prices. So obviously that didn't work. So now they're going to go to a buy-to-play model and try that, something similar to what Guild Wars 2 has got going on. The only issue with that is, to me, that screams monetization is coming. I know the game isn't built for it. It wasn't built from the ground up with monetization in mind, but we've seen it before. We'll see it again.
Yeah, now the box is a little cheaper, though, Wilfredo. You save a couple bucks.
Yep. I'll give you that. I think it's a smart idea, especially when you think about, you know, the economy as a whole. If it's a cheaper game, people are more likely to buy. They're not losing as much. If the game is awful and disappointing, okay, so it went from what, $40 to $30? Okay, so you save $10. Great. Let's go with that. But if it was like a $70 game, people are going to be a little bit more tentative with their wallet. So I think this is actually a fairly good idea because it creates the opportunity for those who really don't have the funds to try it out. And honestly, I think that's a good idea. I think that puts more opportunity for more players to buy in than for it to be behind a $70 price point. And they're like, only certain people can get into it.
Yeah, and the sub does give you some perks. So if you're a free-to-play player, well, not a free-to-play, but if you buy the box and you don't sub, you get one character. If you pay the sub, then you can create multiple characters. And sub players are able to create even more characters than the currently available 3. So they're actually getting a bit of an expansion. We don't have a full list of like the other restrictions, but they do say, hey, it's not going to affect gameplay. And they did give us things like emote access, portrait selection. There'll be a subscriber-only chat channel that non-subbed players won't be able to take part in. And then, of course, your favorite one, Troy, came up, stash and bank storage. So we'll have to wait for players to decide if they've taken this too far. I got to ask this, though. You know, do what you got to do to make your business, your game sell. I get it. But you had this, we're making things cheaper in February because we don't want things to shut down and we don't want to put a cash shop in. You're doing this 4 months later. Does the stacked PR start to now become a problem? And instead of looking like, hey, we're trying to do some things that are a little more consumer-centric and a better payment model, does it start to look like a company that is in trouble game-wise and is trying to desperately grab players?
Yes, absolutely. That's what it looks like. That's what it appears like. They heavily justified the price decreases, and usually price decreases, man, you would think if there was interest in your game, that would be the time that people would jump in. So I think they're grasping at straws at this point. They're desperate to get players into their game, and they're really in trouble. Obviously, I think because they're making the switch so soon after, coming off, reaffirming that box of subscription, but coming off the price of it some. I think they're in a lot of trouble right now.
Wilfredo, have you ever played?
No. No, not at all.
So coming from that perspective, then you see this news. Does it make you want to check it out, or are you like, dead game is dead?
I'm a bit of column A and column B. A part of me wants to check it out of pure curiosity to see why they would drop the price. But another part of me is like, there's probably a reason for this. It may not be a good game.
I can't tell you how many people are playing it because it's not on Steam. So,
Womp womp.
I mean, maybe that's one of your problems too. Like, get your ass on Steam. I mean, you gotta eat 30% of the sales, but get yourself on the biggest platform available.
If you're at the point that you are now, maybe it's worth it.
I will say this: the team has always been tremendous in dealing with us, like behind the scenes and asking questions and stuff. They've always been great. And like, if you like the type of game, Embers Adrift is probably an okay one for you to jump in if that's your thing. But I tend to agree, Troy, that like 4 months apart, making things cheaper, now getting rid of the sub being required, it does kind of give off, even though they're good things. It was like, what was it? What was that game? And it's closing down. Swords of Legends Online, right? Was that the one that launched with a subscription and then or was going to launch with a subscription, I think, here, and then decided before launch, no, we're going to launch free to play. Like, it looks bad when you do those types of things. It looks like you're unsure of what's going on, or you're trying to, bolster a player base that just isn't there. So, all right, let's finish up. Yeah, we got some blips here. I don't know what the hell. Whatever. It'll be fixed. Let's see what we got here. Some rapid fire news. I just want your takes on it. Taurus Land, Troy, kicks off a closed beta already. Coming up in just a few weeks here. You can go sign up on the website for 10 cents World of Warcraft replacement. Test is on June 27th. Android players in Brazil, Canada, Philippines, and the UK will be able to take part. And on the PC, basically anywhere in the world. You'll be able to choose between one of 7 character classes, explore 3 regions, and experience those related storylines and quests. Interested? Can I sell you a beta ticket for Taurus Land?
No, not interested, but interested in the fact that this is ready to go so fast and so quickly. Obviously, it was already under development, already, heavily developed. I would have liked to have seen Activision Blizzard's reaction to this had they still been partnered up over there the previous way with NetEase and stuff like that, like they were with this coming out over there.
You gonna hop in there, Wilfredo? You got to sign up, and it's one of those, you can't just sign up for beta. You got to sign up for their newsletter. Shoot me.
We're gonna take this call. Hello.
Yeah.
It's another Throne of Liberty like game where it's basically a mobile port to PC.
Oh no, this is totally just World of Warcraft, bro. Not Throne of Liberty.
Absolutely. No, not at all. I'm not interested in this.
I'm definitely gonna check it out. Just, it's one of those like train wreck things for me.
Oh, so you're the person looking for the dismembered bodies.
Yeah, I'm like, how bad is this a ripoff? Like, how bad of this is this a ripoff?
Is this Allieds Online?
Right.
Or...
Like, at least Allieds Online was unique in its classes, its story, and everything. Like, we've seen fucking not Sylvanas running around in these trailers. She's the best type of distinct, legally distinct. Because Activision will send you a cease and desist. Rest assured, they will. They did. Call of Duty, cheat supplier Mobius, and a few others shutting up shop. Cease and desist sent their way, and they just figure, hey, why fight the beast? Makes sense. So let me ask a question. Maybe you're not going to answer this. Both of you, like, Wilfredo, we'll start with you. Have you ever, for any game, purchased or used a cheat or an add-on that was illegal or some type of modification to the game that you weren't allowed to use?
For an MMO, absolutely.
Any game.
Yeah, not even.
He was like, for an MMO, like, dude, he's like be specific, Mike.
I use cheats in like Elder Scrolls. Like if I'm playing Morrowind or Skyrim, something like that.
No, something multiplayer online. Like, yeah, if you use a Game Shark at home or like a Game Genie or what the current equivalents of those things. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like you were in Valorant using an aimbot, stuff like that.
Hell no, and I have a reason for that, and it's very simple. If you can't play the game out of the box without tweaking your mouse settings and maybe your screen settings, maybe a keyboard bind here and there. If you can't play it stock, and yet you're like, "Oh, I'm the best ever," you're not the best ever. You're not. You got to prove that you can do it. That takes skill. And if you have to go out and buy cheats in order for you to win at a game, especially a competitive PvP game, you aren't skilled. You're a chump. You're a loser. You're a cheater. Go back to school. Learn some stuff. Get beat. Get better. And come back.
Troy knew I was going to ask him this question afterwards, and he left his desk. Like, he's gone. I don't know. Oh, no. I'm kidding. He's sitting there. Troy, what about you?
I took advantage of an exploit one time in New World. That's about.
Oh, gee, I'm shocked. Which one?
Everyone's done that at least once. I haven't done it yet because I don't play the game very often.
Back when the game first launched, there was a spot where pigs would spawn just nonstop, and you could level your skinning in like an hour. So I did take advantage of that. I did feel a little guilty afterwards, but then after they fixed it, there was no punishment. So I was like, okay,
I got away with that one.
I'm glad I got away with that one.
A big deal, though. I wouldn't really qualify that as a cheat. It's an exploit in the game that they didn't.
Yeah, it's an exploit. I wouldn't. It's not a cheat. It's an exploit.
No, so nothing. Have you ever? I have not, by the way.
Aimbots and stuff like that. No.
Yeah. Anybody that knows
I've never
me
trusted those websites.
Oh, I know. There's janky as hell in some cases.
Yeah.
No, I mean anybody that knows me would also like immediately know that I was cheating because like the difference would be fucking night and day. Like you would immediately recognize. You're like, okay, Mike can't snap to kill like that. Come on.
Yeah. When it comes to competitive games, I'm typically silver gold level. If suddenly I jump up to platinum or diamond, some shit's going down.
Yeah, there were like people that got there was a whole AI bot in Rocket League thing that had happened that they actually were able to get it into competitive. And I was just like, and Psionics was like, it was really easy for them to catch the people that had done it on their account and just let the bot farm their rank in competitive because like you could go to Rocket League stat tracks and like see my entire history if you really wanted to. Like you just go and you could see my rank and how I trend and how long it took me to get the diamond the first time and champ the first time and all that stuff. But then you just see like graphs that do this and then just go like this. And you're like, yeah, that dude totally just improved overnight. Ever bought gold in a game?
Yes, I have. I bought gold in World of Warcraft back in the day.
I bought gold in Final Fantasy 11 way back in the day, yeah.
I got my shit hacked for it too. So
did you get it hacked?
Not worth. Oh yeah, I got hacked. Not worth.
No, I didn't get it. I didn't even get it hacked. But yeah, before I really like knew better. I was playing Final Fantasy 11 back on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, people would tell me it was bad to buy gold, but I was like, bro, I'm broke. I need gold. And then you find out.
Yeah.
Then when you get later in the game, you start running all the bots and stuff where the gold comes from. You're like, okay, now I get it.
Have you, Wilfredo, ever bought gold or bought like skins or Diablo 2 characters or stuff off black markets, stuff like that?
No, never. Actually, when I played WoW, I gave my account to one of my friends because I was like, I can't play this anymore. And that was the most that I've ever done on either side of that. It's like, here, you can have my account. Have fun with it. I would never buy gold online. Are you kidding me? I don't want the prince from Nigeria asking me.
Hey, man, I didn't know any better. At that point, I'm playing Final Fantasy 11, and if you would have been like, "Oh, do you like MMOs?" I would have been like, "What the fuck's an MMO?" Like, I'm sitting here playing one, and I'm like, "What the hell's an MMO?" I will say this: so Damina never bought gold, but she did get her World of Warcraft. Damina, my wife, got her World of Warcraft account hacked, and she was furious. She was furious. At the time, Burning Crusade was the current expansion, so the level cap was 70. And she had never, even in Final Fantasy, even though that was the one that we played all the time, Final Fantasy 11, she never got a max level character. So when we kind of started dabbling in World of Warcraft with my brother Havoc and stuff, and she was never like into it the way we are, but she played and enjoyed them. She got to level 68, like she was closing in on it. She was like, yes, sweet, I'm gonna have my first max level character in any MMO. And then she didn't play for like a month or whatever. And when she tried to sign back in, her account was hacked. And so she had to do the whole, call Blizzard, verify identity, like the usual stuff. And she gets her account reclaimed. And she logs in, and the character's level 70. Because they were just, whoever hacked it was like, they're going to farm gold with it. And it's obviously better to farm gold as a level 70. And they looked and they were like, there's a character that's only 2 levels away. Bang it out 70 real quick and do it. She got the account back. She was so pissed. She was like, I'm max level and it wasn't me. This was my only chance.
I feel bad for her.
She was so angry. I'm like, you're max level. What are you bitching about? It wasn't me. Speaking of World of Warcraft, 9-year veteran game designer Eric Covington over at Blizzard is alleging that he was fired for making jokes about corporate greed. Specifically, he was one that wrote the dialogue for venture company Loot Goblin, who said such lines as, "Let's call this a cost of living adjustment, no profit sharing, looks like another yacht for me, and time to go back to the office." All dialogue actually approved by Activision Blizzard and promoted on the official World of Warcraft Twitter account at one time or another. Yeah, found himself out of a job. The termination, according to documents obtained by Gizmodo, was due to inserting inappropriate non-game related content into a game. Guess what company didn't get the joke? Tori the Chicken says she's with Demina, by the way. I'm on her side there. Not getting the experience of leveling to max level yourself sounds tragic. Oh, and Demina's now in chat because she can hear me. She's over on her work computer. She literally heard me and got in chat. I'm still mad about that. Never got over it. Never got over it. She never played again. That was literally, she never played World of Warcraft again now that I think about it.
I don't blame her. I don't.
Let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. Wilfredo, it's been a while, my friend. You get to go first.
All right, cool. I want to give it's a tentative A-bomb, but it's also an awesome dub-bomb for, being able to move out and get into our own place finally. Took us forever and a day, but we're doing it. But the A-bomb goes with all the damn packing. I didn't realize how much crap I accumulated.
You never do until you go to move. And the fun part is when the stuff that's currently crammed into your old place doesn't fit in the new place.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute, there's supposed to be more room here. Why can't I get everything in here?
Yeah.
So Terra Nova in chat says, "Da-bomb for getting news that there will be updates about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. A-bomb for the Bloodlines 2 news not coming till September." I was when I saw them tweet, I was like, "Whoa, wait, let me read it." Really? You're announcing an announcement in September? September. Hey, we got something to share with you in September. This isn't like we got like all the Games Fest this week, right? They kick off today and Summer Games. And no, not, hey, we're going to be, because I've been getting all these emails that are like, hey, want to cover that we're going to be at Summer Games? And I'm like, no, I'm not putting up a news post that just says Throne and Liberty is going to be at Summer Games. It is. We'll cover the news that they actually, whatever. No, we got an announcement.
Yeah, when you actually have news, we'll put it out there.
Go ahead, Troy.
Dub-bomb to ESO Necrom so far. Having a good time in it. So far, everything I was hoping it would be. That's still a very, very early dub-bomb, but smooth launch, smooth story so far. I like where it's going.
Yeah, so my original A-bomb was going to be to Life is Feudal. I get it, your game's in a weird spot, but $20 What is your deal? But I actually I did the show notes before this other news broke, so I'm going to change and give an A-bomb to the day before. Troy did a piece yesterday about the team had posted like a bunch of articles on this Australian gaming site and whatever, and kudos to Massively for finding it. And we linked them and sourced them in the piece. And like there was also a trailer drop, 37 seconds of what looks like a Fast and Furious or Need for Speed video game trailer of a sports car driving through the streets of the apocalypse, because things that are readily available after the apocalypse include gasoline for your automobile. Yeah. If you are even remotely hoping for that, I don't know what to tell you anymore. I literally don't know what to tell you anymore. To Cal saying an A-bomb to Mike for having a big-ass sandwich on stream yesterday and not offering nobody else none. I like sandwiches too, you know. I do too. I want a sandwich right now, actually. Damn it. Thanks to Cal. I want a sandwich right now. And no, if I had one on my desk right now, I wouldn't give you any of it either. This one would all be all mine. Kevin Sharp from YouTube says, the bomb to Guerrilla Games for the Horizon property. Very excited and looking forward to see what they do on the multiplayer front that they announced they're working on. Yeah, we've covered their general kind of vague announcements so far. Definitely one we'll be covering. Certainly interested in it as well. Go ahead, Troy.
Corey V. So just from seeing gameplay videos of Wayfinder, it looks like almost like it was made for mobile when they decided to add it to console. The UI is clearly designed around console mobile. The whole game just screams mobile with console and PC as an afterthought. If you told me it was for mobile, I would have believed you. Seeing it on PC is weird to me. The gameplay itself looks insanely generic as hell. Combat looks pretty boring due to there only being 5 spells that you can only ever have.
There's a to be fair though, on that front, there is a little bit of like a combo system in your striking too. The way you strike and from what angle and stuff. But ability wise, yeah, you're right.
I saw one video of someone going through dungeons with people and it looked like a very generic experience. You avoid boring traps. The boss fights look kind of boring due to lazy mechanics. People having bad pings is going to make it not a great experience from what I've seen in videos. Seeing people teleport around in the dungeon is pretty bad. Seeing people just randomly die because they have such bad ping on the server is lagging is just also bad. It's using Unreal 4 engine, which from videos I've seen looks like it suffers from shader cache issues, just like Hogwarts Legacy and Jedi Survivor suffers from. It doesn't appear to load shaders before you play on PC, which look like it stutters every time you find anything new.
Yeah, it's one that, and Troy, we talked about it last week. That's why they're chiming in today. I want to enjoy that, but the beta experiences have just been really shallow and underperforming, and I hope a lot of that changes for launch because I do want to enjoy that type of game. Go ahead, Wilfredo. Take the next one.
Metallica fan 1442. I think Warhammer Speed Freaks is based on a game, Games Workshop board game from the 1980s called Gorka Morka. I think you may be right.
So I had to look that up, and I think elements of it, yeah, because it was still Warhammer, but there was more extra vehicle rules in Gorka Morka. So you may be right. I don't know if it's like directly inspired, but there was definitely enhanced vehicle rules in Gorka Morka. Urko Asko says, love you guys from the Perfect World International days. Big fan. That's very kind of you. You've certainly been a long time MMO bomber, and we appreciate you stopping by and saying hi. We love you too. Question of the week last week: is Throne and Liberty going to be worth a damn, or is it just flat out doomed? Old Glory sent in a really long one, so I have truncated this to some of the core ideas on like things he liked and things he did not. Yes, I agree that rooting players in place to execute auto attacks or skills is not popular these days, but it was the same on Lineage 2. To be fair, Lineage 2 combat looked more polished than Throne and Liberty, and full buffs improved that combat even more. I want to experience it before judging, even though there was a funny video of someone just running away from PvP in Lineage 2. It was an option as well, but the attacker still had skills. Even those skills could root a player in place, which he could use to kill fleeing enemies, foes, or PK victims. Another thing I saw in the video I did not like, stagger on hit. I saw someone running to an NPC or something, and the mob stopped, and the character stopped the character running on a simple hit, not a stun or other CC ability. It happened multiple times. Looks frustrating. Lineage 2, in its core, was slow. Not even tab target. Had something similar, but no one really used that feature. and attacks, skills rooted player characters in place. But when the character had buffs with the right gear and the build in general, that rooting in place was almost gone. Not entirely. If I think about it even more, Lineage 2 had a bit of a unique gameplay for MMOs. Overall, I think they should polish the existing combat. There are a few things I would like to see: supporting characters playing bigger roles, buffers, which can improve combat experience the same as Lineage 2 had, and lastly, auto combat. Me and my friend don't care if it's there. If it's true what was said about the auto combat, then active combat/farm still will be more beneficial and faster, so it's like filler content while you're doing something else. So too long didn't read. It reminds me of Lineage 2. Would like to see some polishing. I don't care about auto combat, and me and my friend still would like to try and play. Obviously, Old Glory, by the way, a huge Lineage 2 buff. Like, that was their main MMO for a long time. Go ahead, Troy.
Kevin Sharp, question of the week. Yeah, I'm still cautiously optimistic for this. Classic tab targeting is okay by me. I do not have a lot of experience with auto battling, but it won't necessarily ruin it for me. But I can say this title has a long way to go before I'm going to fully get on board and say I'm hyped.
Next up, what do you got, Wilfredo?
Nightquaker says, mostly yes. It is doomed. There will be people playing it for sure, but its performance probably won't meet Amazon execs' expectations.
Yeah, nothing does. They're basically Square Enix.
Yeah.
This next one comes from Mac Toll on YouTube. So Mac Toll had said, just a basic comment, something about like, you're kind of off base with the Throne and Liberty. I saw some PvP footage and it looked pretty good. And so I said, oh, cool. Our piece, and Old Glory sent me a video, was like, oh, you got to check out this video. And I was like, that video was posted 6 days after our article. Like, he was like, Troy only found the bad stuff. There's good stuff too. And I was like, we were doing day one social media impressions of the game.
Yeah.
This video came out 6 days later. And so I replied to Mac on YouTube and I said, hey, cool. Can you tell me some things that like you saw in the videos or through gameplay, whatever it was, that you liked and why? Like tell me about it, And so Mac was awesome and did reply. Thank you, Mac. Said, opinion, I think people complain about the attack and movement mechanic because of World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV. You can move your character in all directions while attacking. Just make sure the target is in range of the skill. For auto combat, it can't play the entire game for you. Imagine using auto combat on a field boss, a PvP dungeon, a PvP contested area, a raid boss. People are acting as if the auto combat system can play the whole feature of the game. Well, some of them can. See V4. Pay to win? Yeah, it probably is. But what MMO is not? New World? No one's even playing that game. Right? Who plays New World?
Who plays New World? Oh
Nobody.
my God.
Can't get a dungeon running. For what I do like, based on what I saw, I like the character movement, the NPCs around town, the monster designs, the boss mechanics. I also like that most of the content is in the open world, like Black Desert Online. The character design is good as well, but most of all, I like the UI. It's the most mobile Eastern MMO. Most mobile Eastern MMOs have a shit UI. Thankfully, this one does not. So, Mac, thank you so much for replying to me and giving me some of the good stuff that you saw from the test, so that we could throw that in here as well. Finish it off, Troy.
Das Grisha. Yes, it is doomed. An MMORPG which focuses on mobile gameplay like autoplay should not be rewarded. It's a stupid mechanic. But well, people also play gacha games and Diablo Immortal. So who knows?
We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Question.
A lot of people played Diablo Immortal after booing it.
Yeah.
Question of the week this week. Is Star Wars The Old Republic changing developers a good sign or a bad sign for the MMORPG's players? Let us know how you feel about it in the comments below. Don't forget your weekly bombs. Da bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad this week in the world of gaming or just life in general. Next week, we'll be back on our normal Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time frame. So hope you enjoy an extra day of the podcast before our next show. We'll see you Friday. Until then, Wilfredo, where can everybody find you, my friend?
Go find me on Twitter at Damien X Marius. I've been kind of quiet there, but I'm working on some things.
Oh, all right. Troy?
I'm on your favorite social media platform. It's at Noob Fridge.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb so you'll always know every time we go live with a podcast, a stream, or we're hanging out. and hit up the site for giveaways, news, and more. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.